Journalist Ashton Forbes has a theory about what happened to missing Malaysian Airline Flight 370. Now we're about to go deep, deep, deep in the rabbit hole here. It's about to get wild, and I'm gonna throw in a little bit of my 2 cents from the research I've been doing um, concerning like CERN and wormholes in particular, and other dimensions and things like that, because I've been fascinated with CERN and other dimensions for gosh years now. I can't even remember how many years. At least 10 years I've been studying this stuff, and it all leads me back to the Bible. And I'm gonna connect all these together and show how this goes back to the Bible with other dimensions and wormholes and government technology. But this journalist actually he got a lot of good information here, which confirms a lot of my theories about alternate dimensions and where we get unlimited power from, and what Tesla been talking about for years before he died, about free energy and stuff like that. So we about to get deep and go deep down this rabbit hole. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. All right, let's check out this clip here. This is from The Absolute Truth with Emerald Robertson. I've never seen this show before. I don't know if this. I don't think this lady that's talking is Emerald. I think she may be filling in for Emerald. I don't know. Like I said, I know nothing about this show here, but uh, the information that comes from this journalist is very, very informational. So let's check this out.
Do you remember the strange disappearance of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 in 2014? Now, it gripped the world for months after its disappearance. Even today, a full decade later, the plane has never been found. One independent investigative journalist, however, named Ashton Forbes, thinks he might have the answer to the mystery of the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370.
I mean, look at that. That is the dark energy laser. You can see the lines in front of the orbs. They're literally creating space in front of the orbs and traveling along them like a gravitational well. Who would even have known about this in 2014?
And joining us now is that independent investigative reporter who has been making
2014 Malaysian flight 2014. It's been since it happened in 2014, and the government still hasn't come out and said what happened to this plane. We all know they know what happened. Here we go.
Let's say, making a lot of waves on social media with his detailed claims and videos. Ashton is the organizer of MH370X, a volunteer group dedicated to solving the mystery of the missing Malaysian airliner and disclosing advanced technology to the public. Ashton, it's really good to have you here. This is a little bit of a different subject for us to explore on my show, but I can't tell you how many people have flagged your work for me. And there's some people who are going to be, some friends who are going to watch my show today who usually don't. So thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Emerald, for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Okay, so her name is Emerald. Okay. Again, I've never seen this show before. This is my first time watching this this show.
This has remained a mystery to people, and for the last decade, people have wanted to know what happened. You've posted some detailed findings about advanced U.S. government research projects related to the technology that you believe to be demonstrated in the videos of the missing Malaysian airline. Could you just explain to our audience what you think you've discovered in these documents?
Well, I think the first thing is that there's this mystery of the plane where we found no debris field for this plane. The most expensive and extensive search in history found not one piece of the plane. We know the United States.
There's always some type of debris somewhere. They always find something, a bolt, a piece of the plane, something. When there's a missing plane, they end up finding something. They found absolutely nothing from the Malaysian flight.
The States government knows exactly what happened to this plane. We found the space-based infrared system that should have been able to track the plane that's constantly surveilling the entire globe. the SOSA system, which has hydrophones that can detect even a tiny sub imploding, like the Titan sub that imploded off the coast of the Titanic, and the over-the-horizon radar, which can see for thousands of miles. We also were able to find USA 229's a spy satellite that was in the Malacca Straits, potentially looking down at the coordinates we see in the bottom left of the satellite video, which is on the right side of the screen there now. So it's hard for anyone to believe and even fathom that the United States or anyone else could have technology similar to what we see in these videos. A lot of people are going to look at them and go, this looks like video game graphics or CGI. But I assure you that based on the investigation and the research into the missing plane, as well as the details around these videos, this is not any type of hoax or fabrication. What we're looking at here is advanced technology the United States has. What it is equivalent to, if not exactly of, is warp drive. And we're talking like Star Trek warp drive, the ability to
warp drive. Wow.
manipulate gravity to put an object into a very thin bubble and allow it to propel faster than the speed of light. I would have never thought this was even possible when I started this investigation 8 months ago. And I think we've uncovered so much evidence that it almost seems undeniable at this point, including multiple Defense Intelligence Agency papers, scientific papers, one of which is actually just called Warp Drive, Warp Drives, Dark Energy, and Manipulation of Extra Dimensions.
Listen to that. Dark energy. This is the stuff that CERN was messing with. This is the stuff remember when CERN first turned on the Hadron Collider years upon years ago, they was trying to dip into another dimension and pull something out. And it's been stories being told of entities and things like that coming from this dimension that they're pulling out. And this dimension, it's been reported that it's a lot of energy in this dimension, and it's like an abundance of energy. It's different from our dimension where we have to try to create this energy and it's limited. In the other dimension where CERN goes to, it's hard to contain the energy. It's not that you're trying to you're trying to create this energy. You're trying to suppress the energy because it's an abundance of energy in this dimension. And the Bible speaks of this dimension. Is it hell? It sounds like hell. When I think of this dimension, I think of the old school movie Constantine. And remember when he hopped in that bathtub and he shows up in like this place that it looks like our world kind of, but everything is on fire. Everything is burning. It's the entities in this dimension. It's demons in this dimension. That is what I believe CERN is tapping into to get the energy. And back in their research, when they first started that research, and that's where I think our whoever created this technology is tapping into to get this warp drive power where they can go into this different dimension, or it gets deep. It gets deep. Like I said, I've been studying it for years. It's really, really difficult to articulate this because a lot of people don't really understand multi-dimensional things. And again, the Bible speaks about this. What do you think hell is? Hell is another dimension. What do you, when you see UFOs and they go away, they disappear, where do you think they disappear to? I think they disappear to this dimension, this dimension that CERN is and the likes are trying to tap into and pull energy from.
And then the other one is called traversable wormholes, stargates, and negative energy. And when you look into these, you quickly realize that, first of all, Tesla was right. There is potentially an extra dimension that our reality is painted onto. And if we can crack through that, then we can unlock essentially unlimited negative energy, which is exactly what is.
That is, and Tesla was right. Tesla was right. He literally created. He tapped into this dimension and created free energy, and that's why they took Tesla out. Because if we have a way to tap into this dimension and pull out the energy for free, or bare minimum with a little bit of our energy to tap in and create even more energy than the energy we initially used to tap into this, it's basically free energy. And you can't charge people for free energy. So they didn't want this technology out, so they took Tesla out.
Is needed for a wormhole to occur. So what we think we're actually looking at here in those videos is a real wormhole that our reality is painted onto. And if we can crack through that, then we can unlock essentially unlimited negative energy, which is exactly what is needed for a wormhole to occur. So what we think we're actually looking at here in those videos is a real wormhole, and the United States government has reverse engineered that. I would speculate, based on the investigation here, sometime in the early 2000s is when we first started to figure it out and it became operational.
Notice he says, I don't know if he's going to get into where they get the technology from, but he said the U.S. government reverse engineered this technology. That means we weren't the original creators of this technology, which means we had to get this technology from someone. Who do we get this technology from? I think we got these technologies from evil entities. I think we got this technology from what the Bible calls demons, or possibly fallen angels. That's where they get this information from. That's where they reverse engineered this technology from.
And we've been hiding it ever since. Now we're near 2024.
Okay, let me ask you. I mean, there. One of our associate producers.
She is flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted. I wish he would ask, if it's reverse engineered, where does the original technology come from? But she does. I don't know. She don't. I don't know why she wouldn't ask that question, because he literally said reverse engineered.
Producers and a great friend of the show, and I know you've been talking with him, Brandon Weicker, assures me that we have technology that, the U.S. government has technology that they won't admit to, and we can't even fathom. So, I'm very open to the, it's interesting. I find it very interesting. You also mentioned Dr. Salvatore Pais, I think is how you say his name, a lot in your work. Tell us, what is his significance to this story and your research on exotic technology?
Yeah, somebody asked me to reach out to Dr. Salvatore Pais. He's a Navy engineer, active Navy engineer, and he has these patents that are out there. He contacted me back within 24 hours and said to set up a podcast, which I never had one. And I thought right away, that's pretty amazing, because if these videos are fake, why is there a guy who's got these UFO patents, they call them, that wants to talk to me about them? And the patents are high frequency gravitational wave generator, which I think you could argue is what we're seeing with those orbs from the clip earlier on. Inertial mass reduction for a transmedium craft, which I think opens the door to the idea of creating the space-time bubble around an object, which can allow for mass reduction. That's what we need in order to achieve the speed of light, or potentially go faster. And then piezoelectric induced high temperature superconductor, which, if you look into the history of anti-gravity, you'll find out that a lot of these scientists that have mysteriously disappeared have been looking into superconductivity and its implications for anti-gravity research. So
we forget all about that. All these scientists that's been disappearing, or committing, falling off of buildings and committing suicide and stuff like that. And we try to figure out, okay, where's the connection? Here's the connection. That is so wild.
So people should definitely look at his patents, realize that they are approved patents, and the Navy had to step in to convince the patent officer that, yes, we can achieve energy densities that will break the Schwinger limit, which is where space-time becomes nonlinear, which is exactly what we see in those videos, where we see this cold event where, it looks like what you would expect, like a mouth of a wormhole to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
What I noticed in looking at social media is that
I don't know if she has the knowledge. I'm not saying she's not an intelligent, host or anything like that, but I don't think she has the knowledge to really, the information to really conduct this interview and ask the questions that need to be asked, because there's a lot of questions out there that I really would like to ask this gentleman, that she's not asking. Not faulting her or anything like that. She's just not knowledgeable on this topic. But I mean, she's not doing a terrible job either, so I'm not really trying to criticize, but it's a bunch of questions out there that she's not asking that needs to be asked.
A lot of people say that this is doctored video, or it's not authentic, and you've been pretty clear on your Twitter page that the videos came from a leak within the U.S. military, and that one man named Edward C. Lynn is the likely source of that leak. So our audience can understand where this came from. Can you tell us who this man is? And
I believe he's been arrested. I think they arrested this guy for something. His name sounds very familiar.
why did he leak them, Ashton? There is some concern out there that this might be some kind of disinformation operation, and I'll be honest, that would be my first concern, having dealt with so many of them from the government myself.
True.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I am not being played, or nobody's contacted me related to the government. I'm not on behalf of the government in any way, shape, or form. So if this is some type of elaborate hoax, which I think that the only way these could be fake is if the government themselves made them. There just requires too much inside information about our surveillance capabilities and what an MQ-1C Gray Eagle drone looks like, what the videos look like. And I'm open to the idea if the U.S. government wants to make a statement on it. They've been very quiet about this. So if this was a disinformation campaign, I would have expected them to step forward, promote these videos. They've been out there for 10 years, confirmed.
Yeah, he's right. The government is not even speaking on this. Normally, when it's information out there and people are getting, and they're trying to lay out propaganda, they would be talking about it more. But the government don't speak at all about the Malaysian flight. Think about, when is the last time the government has even mentioned Malaysian Airlines Flight 370? It's been years. So I don't think this is some type of propaganda campaign. I agree with you.
Going back to 2014, it's only now that we've been able to realize they're real. Some of the elements that essentially prove that they must be authentic is that there are coordinates in the bottom left of the satellite video, which indicate the real location of the plane in the Nicobar Islands around 1840 UTC on March 7th. And the video was published May 19th, 2014, which is 9 days before the raw telemetry data was even made available. You guys can search this yourself. The experts didn't even know where this plane was exactly. A lot of people just speculated it flew right over Indonesia, not around Indonesia, which is what these coordinates would indicate. So unless this hoaxer had psychic abilities and precognition, it's pretty incredible that they put the plane in the exact right location before that data was known. The clouds actually do move and evolve in the videos. The reason why it's not very apparent is that satellites are very, very far away, and each frame that we see is only a few seconds. There's no sign of manipulation on a single frame in either video. So people have poured through these frame by frame. There's no indication whatsoever anywhere in them that they're fake. People have tried to compare them to VFX stock effects that don't match and claim that somebody modified it all around. People have tried to claim that they come from a 2D cloud picture, but we've shown that these require 3D rendered environment, and that the lighting when the zap goes off is actually accurate in 3 dimensions as well. So it's okay if people want to believe they're fake. I think that the information here is so beyond the paradigm, and it implicates the United States government in such a huge conspiracy that I can understand why people would be skeptical. But
it's very difficult for people to understand this. Even for me, like I said, I've been studying this for years, and I still don't grasp all the implications of this type of technology, of alternate dimensions and energy in these dimensions and entities in these dimensions. It gets deep, and it's a lot to study. A lot of papers, a lot of videos, listening to a lot of experts in this stuff. It gets deep, and it's really kind of difficult to understand. So I can understand how a person cannot believe in all this, because it can get really, really deep and confusing.
But I would just ask that people look at the evidence out there. Real quick, there's a couple things that people would say is the ocean's really big. Plane could have crashed somewhere else, but we searched up and down the 7th arc everywhere above and below water. Unless those satellite pings are wrong, then there's nowhere else to search. They have the plane running out of fuel. It can't go any further. And if those satellite pings are wrong, then what's happening here in the Nicobar Islands is the best indication of what occurred.
And forgive me, I'm not a scientist. I'm a total layperson. I did cover science news and science and tech news at one point in my career, but it's been a long time ago. What do you think happens if this is the case where it went through some kind of wormhole as you described? What's at the other end of that? What happened to the plane?
Yeah, it's like going through a doorway. So that's the thing. If you read the papers that I mentioned, going through a wormhole, they're humanly traversal. It means you're not going to die when you go through it. The gravitational forces won't rip you apart. It's not like falling into a black hole. Situation is, it's like a shortcut. So the idea of there being an ether, an extra dimension, is that every point in space and time is actually connected. and we simply don't perceive it. And this is why quantum teleportation is possible. It explains the double slit experiment. And if we can manipulate space-time itself, now you can disappear in one point and instantly appear in the other. Frames of reference are localized, meaning that we experience time at different rates based on our own frame of reference. Even you and I do. And the only reason why it seems similar is because
That's true. That's why when you're in space, if you have you got twins. One twin stays here on Earth. Another twin goes out into the universe, out into space. The twin that goes out into space and then comes back will be I can't remember if he'll be older or younger than the twin. But there's a different. That's how. But it's weird how time works like that. It's very, very, very weird. Um, Also, this it was another point I was going to make with about the dimension, but it escapes me. Hopefully, it'll come back.
we're both on the same planet. So for the people that were going through the wormhole, it's going to appear like they just walked through a door and they're now somewhere else. For the people on the outside, it may look like there's a time dilation effect. Those people may show up slightly in the future, and it looks like faster than light travel is happening. And that's where it starts to get very weird, but is consistent with physics that's out there.
And that's exactly how these UFOs work. That's why when you see them they'll be in one point in the sky, and then a second later they'll be in a whole different point in the sky. You don't see them like flying that way; they just disappear and then reappear. I think that's because they're going into a different dimension and coming back in a different time. That's what, but from our reality, from what we see, it looks like it looks like they're just traveling super fast, but that's not what it is. It's a different time. It's been many papers written about this. This is not a farce.
Well, Ashton, I hate to fly, and I've always said that if there was technology that I would hope to see developed, it was teleportation. So you might be giving me some hope here. Look, I'm going to let our audience know we're running out of time, but you do go into a deep dive in an article that is available on your X page. You talk about, how you believe the government is purposely disappearing this plane. And while we don't have time to get into it, I know a lot of people in my audience are going to be fascinated. So they can find this on your Twitter, correct? Or your X.
Yeah, and just real quick, guys, the debris that washed up in Africa contraindicates the location where they say it crashed. The motive is the semiconductor scientist from Freescale. Edward C. Lin has got to be the leaker. You guys look up his case. The timing is right around the plane disappeared. And if there was a hoaxer, how did they know that we would never find the plane? And why didn't they come forward for a $150,000 bounty?
All very, very fair points. Look, Ashton, I would love to dive more into this because it's such a broad subject.
Awesome interview there. I wish I could interview this guy and ask him some questions. That would be awesome. But maybe I'll try to contact him and shoot my shot and see what happens. But since my channel is so small, it's really hard to get people on there. But this subject fascinates me. I could keep going deeper down this rabbit hole. Again, this is something that I'm fascinated with. I've been studying for a very long time. But let me know what y'all think about this. Thanks for following me down the rabbit hole. Until next time. Peace.